Hello and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Owen James, the channel that brings you your team every single day. Right, look, we're going to talk a little bit more about this Nils Koppen appointment. Koppen has been spelling out his vision for the future of the club. It really does appear that Rangers are very much moving to give Nils Koppen the keys to the car and let him drive the way forward, find the direction for the club. He's obviously been placed in charge of recruitment, medical, first teams, academies, everything has kind of been handed over to him. He has definitely got the keys to the property. Look, is this the right thing? Is this the wrong thing? Look, only time will tell. I think he's done, obviously, he's been a scout at Genk, a scout at PSV Eindhoven, worked under John de Jong at PSV Eindhoven. I hope he's learned a thing or two from him. Obviously, PSV exceptionally good with what they do in terms of their philosophy, their coaching, their medical, and their signings. Koppen obviously was a scout, director of recruitment. Step up from director of recruitment, I suppose it's a natural kind of progression to go to technical director next. I suppose we can debate all we want whether or not he's the right man for the job. I'll be honest with you. I think we could have got this appointment done a lot better with this appointment. I think we could have gone out there, shopped around, kind of looked for a new pair of eyes, a new vision, a new way forward for the club. I think the club are really needing a new direction, a new kind of vision, a new kind of I don't know what the word is I'm looking for here. Kind of like a new way of doing things. I think I said on the video yesterday, I think when you continually appoint from within and you continually internally promote, you kind of have some sort of incestuous kind of failure. You have a kind of disaster waiting to happen in a way. You kind of need those fresh eyes, don't you, to come into the club to kind of look at it and say, well, look, there's good things and there's bad things, but these bad things that you can't see because you are here every day, you are seeing this every single day, and perhaps you haven't got that extra vision to kind of look at these changes to make. And I think maybe we should have gone beyond that, beyond obviously what we had at the club now. I think a lot of this decision to kind of appoint Nils Koppen does smack of the fact we don't have any money. I think that's what it very much comes down to. And some of the comments on the videos, I mean, you got to get some absolutely ridiculous comments about the board. Some people even backing the Park family. I genuinely don't know how any Rangers fan can back the Park family. If you're a Rangers fan and you're backing the Park family, I think you're on the wrong side of the city. I think you need to go to the green and white side. I really do. But what's Nils Koppen been saying? What's his vision? What's the way forward for the club? And I think, look, there's a lot of things we need to get right at Rangers if we're going to move forward as a club. I think, a lot of that's going to come down to the CEO, whoever that may be, if we ever get one, if we ever appoint one. A lot of work needs to be done by him or her to kind of revitalise this club financially, to move the club forward. Financially, we are in a very bad position at the moment. We're making a loss. We're in debt. The club isn't in any sort of financial position to splash any cash. There's a lot of faith being put in the trading model, but the trading model will only work if the manager or the head coach is able to develop the players and make them better. And I think Philippe Clement is making the players worse at the moment. Certainly Mohamed Diamande, he was kind of the great hope of this system. But Koppen's been talking about his vision for the future of the football club. This is what he said. He says, first of all, we need to fill key positions within the academy to ensure we will be ready for the future, so we can be a productive academy, so we can bring players through to the first team. A lot of work has been done in recent years within the academy, but we can't be satisfied with the general output of the academy. We still need to improve, take steps, and keep on creating room for our own academy players to take the step to the first team. I mean, I think this is a brilliant... I mean, look, whatever you think of the appointment of Koppen as this technical director, as this kind of guru of football club, I mean, I've got to say, I agree with what he's saying here. The academy is absolutely central, I think, to the development and the future of this football club. The academy and bringing players through and developing your own players is the best way to go. I mean, people say, well, does that necessarily follow when you look at other clubs around the world? Well, I want to give you two examples. I want to give you the example of Manchester City, and I want to give you the example of Liverpool. You look at those two clubs, and both of those clubs have brought through their academies players who have made differences in their first teams, players who, are exceptional talents. I mean, you look at Manchester City, Phil Foden, Rico Lewis, for example, just two examples from the top of my head, who've come through and made a massive difference, in their first team and are actually playing and being quality footballers. Liverpool, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Conor Bradley, Ben Doak, who's on loan at Middlesbrough, Bobby Clark, who left to join Salzburg, Jadon Dans. There's an awful lot of talent there that's come through their academy. That's JL Conser, that they're actually benefiting from. And Manchester City alone have made £400 million through selling players from their academy. I mean, £400 million. Is it Gittins, the guy at Borussia Dortmund now? He came through their academy. Absolute super talent. There's a number of players. Jeremy Frimpong, Bayer Leverkusen, came through the Manchester City Academy. So academies are kind of core and central to kind of making money in a trading model, in any sort of player model. And like I said, two of the biggest clubs in England, probably the two biggest clubs in England right now, in Manchester City and Liverpool, use their academies and bring a player through their academies. So I think this is something, that Koppen is right. We need to have an academy that develops talent, and we need as a club to put faith in those talented players. And yes, I think part of the problem we've got at the moment is the manager himself. He's not putting those academy players in a position to succeed. He's not giving them a chance to play. He's not giving them a chance to succeed. Cole McKinnon, Bailey Rice, Zach Lovelace, Leon King, for example, to name but four. But he's right. We need to put people in key positions there. And I think, one of the biggest things for me is we need to look at the director of the academy. I know Zorabio Almiron is the head coach, the kind of coaching guru at the academy, but the appointment of David McCullum, or McCallum, whatever he's called, was a joke. We do need to go and get someone proper to run this academy. And, there's been talk from Koppen that he wants to put, ex-Rangers players into the club and into this academy. This is what he would say. One of the objectives will be to sign the best players in Scotland to maintain our best balance. I'm sure we've got a lot of good talent already in the building, which I agree we have. Bailey Rice, Cole McKinnon, Archie Stevens, Finlay Curtis, Paul Uncio, Finlay Grant. There's a lot of players there. One of the things I am looking to is to add in some ex-professional Rangers players to increase that level of DNA and that level of detail. Players who have been in this building have been part of it and know what it's about. That is going to be key in the years to come. This is a bit of a double-edged sword for me. I can see why. That he may want to bring in ex-Rangers players who understand what it is to play for the club, understand what it is to be a Rangers man, understand what it is to play at Ibrox, what the pressure is, the rivalry with Celtic, etc., etc. I get that. I understand that. Whilst perhaps the likes of Barry Ferguson, Kevin Thompson may have a role to play in this, I hope we don't get hung up on this, because I'll be honest with you, look, I've got nothing against people who used to play for the club, but just because they used to play with Rangers does not mean they will be the best people for the job. We need to look beyond that. We need to look beyond that Rangers connection, because I think the issue we've got is that, you've got Rangers men on the board, but it doesn't mean that they're doing a very good job of it. Douglas Park allegedly is a Rangers fan, so is his son Jabba the Hutt. He's allegedly a Rangers fan as well, and John Bennett, but it doesn't mean that they're good at their jobs just because they're Rangers fans. I think there is an element there of needing people to be involved who understand the club. But overall, to get the best coaches in, to get the best coaching philosophies in, to get the best coaching structures in, you need to go for the best coaches. Whether they play for Rangers or they haven't played for Rangers, it needs to be the best people for the job to develop those players. Now, I do see a need for perhaps a couple of people to get into the academy graduates what it is that it is to be a Rangers player. I think certainly for me, the two people that stand out as kind of shining examples, and I would love to see involved with the academy, are Kevin Thompson and Stephen Davis. I think they would be fantastic to be involved with the academy. I think Steve Davis would be a brilliant person to get involved and to help develop young talent. Someone who is an absolute legend for this club. But let's not get hung up on that. I think that's a massive thing we don't need to get hung up on. There needs to be a balance. I think that's what I'm trying to say here. There needs to be a clear balance between, ex-Rangers players and players who, people and coaches who are just good at their jobs. And the fact that they may have played for Leipzig or for Munich or for Paris Saint-Germain or for Liverpool or for Arsenal or Chelsea. It doesn't matter as long as they are good at their jobs. Now, he talked also about the fact that at the moment there is a far from ideal structure. I'll get to that quote in a minute. A far from ideal structure in Scotland for the development of talent. That the fact that the B team don't, take part in any league at the moment, there is no kind of development structure there. There is no kind of jump between under 18s up to the B team. The B team kind of just play friendlies at the moment. Is far from ideal. And, the gap between youth football and top level football, even in Scotland, is massive. There is a difference in intensity. There is a difference in challenge. There is a difference in physicality, in the speed of the game. And there needs to be kind of a bridge there, doesn't there, between academy football and A-team football and men's team football. There needs to be a bridge there, and we do need to find some sort of solution as regards B-team football and how we sort of maximise that and maximise the quality of the play, so it minimises the leap between that B team and the A team, so that youth players that come through more suited and better able and better equipped to play in the men's first team. Koppen went on to say this. He says, we want to form strategic partnerships with other clubs by changing our philosophy and bringing younger players and giving them an exposure to train with the first team environment, to give them the opportunity to show themselves at the right moment. We also can't forget we are a Scottish club and we need to educate our players, not only for our first team, but also for the Scottish game. If they can't make it here as a pro, then they will be able to be a professional footballer at the highest level. And we really need to improve that. I think that's a good point. I think given the fact that there is a lack of structure at B team level, there is a lack of structure between the B team and the A team. There is a need to kind of look at what sort of partnerships we can develop with other clubs, how we can get other clubs involved in games with us, how we can perhaps develop, regular game structures, or how we can perhaps, something of our young players to train with other youth setups. I mean, for me, I think, we need to look at perhaps what we can do with the Dutch, the big Dutch teams, with Feyenoord, with Ajax, with PSV. Certainly with some of the top Belgian clubs, some of the top Portuguese clubs. And also I think as well there is a need there to look south of the border. I mean, the Premier League teams have very well defined youth setups. The academies and some of the top teams in England are absolutely outstanding. You look at Liverpool's academy and the amount of players they produce, Manchester City's academy. You look at Manchester United's academy. You look at Arsenal's academy. Who produce top talent. And, if we can sort of develop some sort of structure with them and partnerships with them, it will all stand our players in good stead. And I think Koppen's right as well in that we do need to have an element where these youngsters get involved with the first team. There is a greater involvement with the first team so that, when they move up to the first team, if they move up to the first team, there is a comfort level there between playing B team, playing under 21s, playing under 18s, and then playing first team football. And he's right as well. These players need to be prepared for the Scottish game. The Scottish game is, I suppose, quite unlike anything else in terms of the way that teams come up and play against Rangers. I mean, you look at EPL football, you look at Championship football, and on the whole, you see two teams that have a go at each other, two teams that try and play football against each other. Whereas here, north of the border, with the exception of when we play Aberdeen and Celtic to some degree, you come up against teams that are solely intent on low blocking, spoiling, fouling, kicking, slowing the game down, making it as difficult as possible and being as physical as possible. And I think there's an element of having to prepare players for that environment if they're going to be successful in Scotland. Like I said, the Scottish game is quite unlike any other game around the world. It really genuinely is, with its physicality. And the way that teams set up against us, because we are Rangers, we do suffer from that. So, it's an interesting vision that Koppen has spelt out. Now, I'm not saying that he's right. I'm not saying that he's wrong. I think there's elements of what he's saying are spot on. I think there's elements of what he's saying are worrying. I think, obviously, the truth that the test will come in the long run. Is what he's saying going to be put in place? Is he going to get a chance to put this in place? When the new CEO comes in, is the CEO going to give him the carte blanche to go and do what he wants? If the CEO ever comes in, of course. Now, look, it's an interesting vision. It really is. And I read this. I read what he says. I understand what he says, and I'm hopeful. you have to be, because if you didn't, you'd go mad. Now, look, you may be against this appointment. You may think this is the wrong appointment, the wrong person for the job. We've got to kind of trust in him now that, he's in this job. He's going to be here for at least the next 12 to 18 months, even 2 years before he may be replaced if he isn't doing his job. So we've got to kind of trust in him and let him get on with it. But like I said, I think, the proof will be in the pudding. The proof will be in the time. If in 12 months' time we're not seeing players coming through, we're not seeing an improvement in recruitment, we're not seeing an improvement in standards, then you do have to judge him on that. That's the way it works in football. Well, guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. Please smash the like, smash the sub, do a share, do a comment, do all that great stuff to help the channel to keep on growing. Thanks for watching. Remember always, we are the people.